I used to think Malaysia was just another developing country trying to catch up. A chaotic middle ground between Singapore's perfection and Thailand's backpacker charm. A place you pass through, not a place you study. I was completely wrong. And what I found when I actually looked closer didn't just surprise me, it made me question what we even mean when we say a country works. Because Malaysia is doing things that every other nation on earth either refuses to try, can't pull off, or has completely abandoned. And almost no one is talking about it. Stay with me here, because by the end of this, you might realize that one of the most misunderstood countries in the world has been solving problems we don't even admit exist yet. Before we go any further, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Because stories like this, the ones that shift how you see entire regions, don't show up in your feed unless you tell YouTube you want them. 1. Multiracial harmony without forced assimilation. Let's start with the hardest thing any society can do, make diversity actually work. Not just tolerate it. Not just survive it. But build an entire national identity around it without erasing anyone. Malaysia is 33% Chinese. 10% Indian. 57% Malay and other indigenous groups. 3 major religions. Multiple languages. Completely different food cultures, marriage traditions, and economic histories. And somehow, it works. Not perfectly, nothing does. But functionally, sustainably, and in ways that would make most Western democracies look like amateurs. Here's what they did that no one else has figured out: they made space for difference instead of demanding sameness. You can walk through Kuala Lumpur and see a Chinese temple, a Hindu shrine, and a mosque on the same block. Not as tourist props, as living, breathing centers of actual community life. Public holidays include Hari Raya, Chinese New Year, Deepavali, and Christmas. Schools teach in Malay, Mandarin, and Tamil depending on the system. You don't have to choose one identity and abandon the rest. Compare that to France, where religious symbols are banned in schools in the name of unity. Or the United States, where the melting pot metaphor literally means erasing your past to join the dominant culture. Malaysia said, keep your language. Keep your religion. Keep your food. Just figure out how to live next to each other. And the result? One of the only countries in the world where you can be fully Chinese, fully Muslim, fully Indian, and fully Malaysian at the same time. It's not utopia. There are tensions. There's affirmative action that some say goes too far, and others say doesn't go far enough. But the thing is, they're still trying. Still negotiating. Still evolving. Most countries gave up on this centuries ago. If you're starting to see this differently, hit the like button. And let me know in the comments, does your country even attempt this? 2. Affordable healthcare that actually covers everyone. Let's talk about something that breaks people in half in places like the United States, healthcare. In Malaysia, you can walk into a government hospital and get treatment for 1 ringgit. That's about 25 cents. Not a copay. Not a down payment. The full visit. You can get surgery, cancer treatment, ICU care, all heavily subsidized or free if you can't afford it. And this isn't some fantasy. This is policy. This is infrastructure. This is real. Malaysia spends about 4% of its GDP on healthcare. The US spends over 17%. And yet, Malaysia's life expectancy is nearly the same. Infant mortality? Lower than in parts of America. Here's the part that makes no sense to outsiders: Malaysia also has private healthcare. World-class private hospitals that people fly in from across Asia to access. You can get a heart bypass in Kuala Lumpur for 1/10 of what it costs in New York, and the surgeon probably trained in London. So the rich get options. The poor get care. And the middle class can choose. It's not a binary trap. It's a spectrum. And that's something almost no other country has managed to build without collapsing one side or the other. You want to know why medical tourism is booming in Malaysia? Because they made healthcare both excellent and accessible. Not one or the other. And they did it without the apocalyptic political wars that every other country seems to think are unavoidable. 3. Land and housing you can actually afford. Here's a question: when was the last time you heard of a country where young people can still afford to buy a house? Not a condo in the suburbs 3 hours from work. Not a shared rental with 4 strangers. An actual house. With a yard. In Malaysia, it's still possible. The average price of a home in Kuala Lumpur is around $150,000 to $250,000. Compare that to Sydney, where the median is over $1 million. Or Toronto. Or London. Or San Francisco, where you'd need to be a tech executive just to afford a closet. Malaysia hasn't financialized housing the way the West has. Homes are still seen as places to live, not just investment vehicles for foreign capital. Yes, prices are rising. Yes, there are affordability issues in certain areas. But the scale is different. The possibility is still there. And it's not just about price. It's about space. Malaysian homes are big. You get multiple bedrooms, actual kitchens, room to breathe. Because the country hasn't run out of land. And because the government hasn't let speculative investors hollow out the market. In New York, you pay $3,000 a month for 400 square feet. In Kuala Lumpur, that same money gets you a 3-bedroom apartment with a pool, a gym, and a view. It's not that Malaysia is cheap. It's that the rest of the world has lost its mind. If this is making you rethink what normal even means, consider subscribing. These are the stories that don't make headlines, but they should. 4. Food culture as national infrastructure. Most countries have food. Malaysia has a food system so efficient, so diverse, and so accessible that it might be the best-fed middle-income country on the planet. You can eat 3 full meals a day for under $10. Not fast food. Not junk. Real food. Nasi lemak for breakfast. Char kway teow for lunch. Roti canai for dinner. Every neighborhood has hawker stalls. Every street has options. Malay, Chinese, Indian, Nyonya, Thai, Indonesian. The variety isn't a luxury, it's infrastructure. And here's the wild part: the food is good. Not tourist good. Not, for the price, good. Actually world-class. Penang has been called the food capital of Asia. Kuala Lumpur's hawker scene rivals Singapore's, except it costs a fraction of the price. This isn't an accident. Malaysia subsidizes food production. It regulates prices on essentials. It protects small vendors and hawker culture as part of national identity. In the West, food culture has become gentrified. A $15 salad. A $20 burger. Organic this, artisan that. In Malaysia, eating well is a right, not a luxury. And before you say, but they're a developing country, ask yourself why a developing country can feed its people better than the richest nations on earth. 5. A functioning public transportation system that keeps expanding. Malaysia is one of the few countries on earth still building public infrastructure at scale. Not talking about it. Not planning it for 2050. Actually building it. The KTM, LRT, MRT, and monorail systems in Kuala Lumpur are clean, affordable, and expanding. You can get across the city for less than $1. The trains run on time. The stations have air conditioning. And they're not done. The MRT line is being extended. New routes are being added. The government is investing billions into connectivity. Compare that to the United States, where infrastructure is crumbling and there's no political will to fix it. Or the UK, where trains are delayed, overpriced, and run by privatized corporations that have zero accountability. Malaysia said, "We're going to connect our cities. We're going to make it affordable. And we're going to keep improving it." It's not Tokyo. It's not Seoul. But it works. And it's getting better every year. That alone puts Malaysia ahead of half the so-called developed world. Tell me in the comments, does your city even have reliable public transit? Let's compare notes. 6. Religious freedom with actual coexistence. Let's get uncomfortable for a second. Malaysia is a Muslim-majority country. Islam is the official religion. And yet, you'll find more religious freedom in Malaysia than in a lot of places that claim to be secular. Churches operate openly. Hindu temples thrive. Buddhist monasteries are protected. There's no forced conversion. No religious police knocking on church doors. Yes, there are restrictions. Yes, there are laws that apply to Muslims that don't apply to others. And yes, there are debates, sometimes heated ones, about the role of religion in public life. But here's the thing, people of different faiths actually live together. They work together. They eat together. They celebrate each other's holidays. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm saying it's functional. And in a world where religious conflict is tearing countries apart, that's worth paying attention to. France bans headscarves in the name of secularism. India is seeing rising Hindu nationalism. The US is polarized along religious and cultural lines. Malaysia? It's messy. It's complicated. But it's holds 7, a passport that opens the world. Here's something most people don't know, the Malaysian passport is one of the most powerful in the world. Visa-free or visa-on-arrival access to over 180 countries. That's better than China. Better than India. Better than most of South America. For a middle-income country, that's extraordinary. It means Malaysians can travel freely. They can work abroad. They can build global networks without the bureaucratic nightmare that most developing nations face. And it's a reflection of something deeper. Malaysia is trusted. It's seen as stable. As moderate. As a country that plays well with others. That didn't happen by accident. That's decades of diplomatic investment, economic credibility, and cultural soft power. If you're still watching, subscribe. Turn on the bell. Because this is the kind of perspective that changes how you see the entire region. 8. Nature and urbanization in balance. Here's the thing people forget about Malaysia, it's one of the most biodiverse countries on Earth. Ancient rainforests. Coral reefs. Orangutans. Clouded leopards. Ecosystems that have existed for millions of years. And somehow, Malaysia is urbanizing without destroying all of it. Yes, there's deforestation. Yes, there's palm oil. Yes, there are environmental battles. But the country is also protecting massive tracts of land. Creating national parks. Enforcing conservation laws. Taman Negara is one of the oldest rainforests in the world, and it's protected. The Perhentian Islands are ecotourism hubs. Borneo's wildlife reserves are still intact. You can be in Kuala Lumpur in the morning and in the jungle by lunch. Most countries chose one or the other, nature or progress. Malaysia is trying to keep both. And that's something worth learning from. So here's what I've learned. Malaysia isn't perfect. It's not a utopia. It has corruption. It has inequality. It has political drama and unfinished projects and problems that won't be solved in our lifetime. But it's doing things that matter. Things that most of the world has given up on or never tried. It's keeping diversity alive. It's making healthcare accessible. It's feeding its people. It's building infrastructure. It's protecting belief and identity without forcing uniformity. And it's doing all of this while being ignored by most of the global conversation. Because Malaysia doesn't fit the narrative. It's not rising like China. It's not rich like Singapore. It's not a disaster like some of its neighbors. It's just working. Quietly. Imperfectly. But consistently. And maybe that's the lesson. Maybe we've been looking for the wrong kind of success. If this shifted how you see things, hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. And also, let us know where you are watching from. Here's my question for you: what's one thing your country could learn from Malaysia, even if no one's talking about it yet? Let me know in the comments. I'll be